Hello, I'm Jack McKenzie, and originally from Edinburgh. Been down here for many, many years, and I was Cal Alder, the Deck Lieutenant Rebel Forces Echo Base from The Empire Strikes Back. And my wife Rosemary was the Assistant Casting Director on Space 1999, and we met in 1974, lost touch for 21 years, and met again, been together ever since.
Wonderful. So, Rosemary, Rosemary, you've met someone that I've known for some years. We always refer to him as H.
H, yeah.
And he was on we were discussing this on the way. He's been just about everything. So have you got memories of H?
Not particular memories, but I remember him working on some of the things I've worked on, both on Hammer Films. I was originally working for Hammer Films in casting, so know of him from there. But also, I think he was on Space 1999 at different times. I only worked on the first series, so my knowledge of him is a wee bit limited, really. Yeah. But obviously know of him and his name, absolutely. Yeah.
So can I go back to you, tell us a little bit about what you've actually done, probably more than just one job, I imagine.
Well, it's been a complete surprise because I'm actually a police officer in Scotland, and my chief constable was a great patron of disabled and disadvantaged children, and the Scottish taxi drivers used to get together and had a huge picnic for all the kids. You know, they had balloons and streamers and all the taxis. They still do it. They've got taxis that are all dressed up, and they could take the kids to the beach and all that. And I was and our chief told us to get involved. And I found myself on the beach with a lot of kids who were disabled, and the fire brigade couldn't come along to help that day because they were doing a fire. This is back in '64. And I thought, what can I do to cheer them up, you know? So I can do a little girl's voice, like Haribo. And I said,
"Hello, my name is Fiona, I'm 5. Can I sing you a song? Speed, bunny, board, like a bird on the wing, onward to sea."
And the kids fell about laughing. And this man came across to me and said, "Excuse me, how long have you been doing this?" And I thought he meant being in the police at that time. And I said, 4 years. He said, "Oh, good. Could you do those voices on BBC Radio? Because I'm a producer." I said, "Hold on a minute. I'm not an actor. I'm a police officer." "Oh, you're a police officer. Oh, I know the chief constable very well. I'm sure he'll let you do it in your off-duty time." And that's how it started in 1964. I didn't leave the police till 1972. Came straight to London, never looked back.
Wonderful. Small beginnings.
Oh, absolutely. And I met this lovely lady at Pinewood, and we, as I say, we lost touch for 21 years. And then I got a phone call to do the Savoy Theatre, big charity for theatre. And I walked in the door. Who was the producer? But Rosemary. And we've been together ever since. 28 years of hell.
Congratulations.
The funniest thing of all was that recently we were invited to the 50-year celebration of Space 1999 at Heathrow, and of course people came from all over, Australia, Canada, America, and it was great fun, wasn't it? I mean, but we looked at each other and we said that was half a century ago. Half a century ago.
Have you got any particular memories from Space 1999?
I remember a lot of the time, although I worked in casting, I was asked to try on people's outfits, and in particular a leather outfit for one of the stars. I had to try this outfit on as a stock size and go down and show Sylvia Anderson. When I knocked on her door, Ty Hardin was in there, you know, the famous American cowboy actor, really. And it was just good fun, you know. Those were the days, really. We had a lot of fun working in the studios. Yeah.
Wow.
Holiday on the buses.
Hammer. I worked for Hammer originally, and Hammer were very cheap budget movies, and they made movies back to back. So in a year they'd make 6 weekly ones at Elstree and Pinewood Studios simultaneously. And on one occasion, we'd finished casting on it, and they said, "Oh, why don't you go down on holiday on the buses as an extra for 2 weeks?" So I did that. It was a great fun time.
That's interesting because I'm involved with On the Buses Club. And so we're fascinated by anyone's got any connection with On the Buses. Have you got any particular memories when you're doing On the Buses? Because this is obviously, for me, it's quite an interest. Because everyone has passed now, all the major characters from On the Buses. So memories of them would be amazing.
Yeah, I spent 2 weeks. I mean, I appear in most of it. Most people won't know it's me because, of course, I was so much younger. I think I was about 20, and but it was a lovely time, and we had great times, great fun times too. You know, it really was good.
Did you talk to any of the major characters?
Oh yeah, I had Reg Varney and I had quite a lot in common because he was a musician apart from because my father played the piano. So we had a few chats about that from time to time. Yeah, they're lovely people.
We went to Brinsworth House, of course. Anna Karen was there with Barbara Windsor and other people, and from Holiday on the Buses and from the series which she'd done. And that day there was Paul Daniels and his wife Debbie. Yes, that's right. And I was really interested in them because they paid a lot of interest to these retired actors and actresses who were delighted that they were very attentive, you know, and they wanted to make sure that everything possible was being done for them. So in that sense, I mean, the acting profession, well, the variety profession, and members of the acting profession have been very benevolent towards their members, which is a delightful thing to know.
Do you want to tell us, I'm kind of leaving you out a bit here, a little bit about your part in Star Wars?
Well, it was I was doing a film called A Bridge Too Far in Holland, and very briefly, Richard Attenborough asked me if I'd take on the training of the actors to be soldiers, because I'm an ex-Marine, and which I did. And we had a big company of actors who played British, Polish, German and American, a sort of rep company. You could drop into any slot. As long as you weren't featured, you know, you could be part, you know. And then all these American actors kept coming across from Pinewood talking about Star Wars. And we didn't know what Star Wars was. We thought it was another war film because they were doing Hanover Street, The Evil Has Landed, all that. And so eventually I went back to England at the end of the movie. And my agent said, "Oh, Jack," she said, "darling, could you go to Elstree? They want you to do some sort of space thingy." And there it was, The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah.
So, did you think it was a good film when you saw it? I think it was a bit
it was awe-inspiring because you walked on the set and there's the X-craft, this vast X-craft, which all worked, you know, and the snow sets, you know, it was a huge panoply. Well, let's face it, I'd never been involved in a movie anything that size in my life. Then $25 million, which was unheard of. And I'm doing the scene with Carrie Fisher, and she's distraught because Mark Hamill's gone missing and Harrison Ford. And I come running on and say, "Sir, all the patrols are in." No, and they, "Jack, can you do more in accent, please, an American accent?" "Yeah, fine." So, and they were doing lots of takes, you know, so I felt quite safe. I come running, "Sir, all the patrols are in. No sign of Skywalker or Solo. We have to look at the princess. Close the shield doors." And I just walked off. And I thought somebody said, "Cut." So I walked back on again. And Gary Kurtz Irvin Kershner behind the camera was going. So I'm terribly sorry. You'll never work again. But I did.
But he did.
And it was great because these people, I mean, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill were busy. But because it was an English crew, it was relaxed. There was none of the hype in America, you know. And Carrie would come on the set with her dog and get a can of Coke and walk around the set and chat to people. And it was such a relaxed... And of course, I'd worked with the same crew on Bridge Too Far. And they were all experts. You couldn't tell them anything.
So I'm going to ask you some final questions each. Any tips on acting?
Tips on acting? Well, this is with the stage in mind. I did 2 tours of Dirty Dancing, and you know, you've got to think you're going to walk on stage in front of 3,000 people, and I can say there is no feeling like it. Your heart is thumping. You've got out there to entertain people. You've learned your lines. You've done the hard work, and you hit them, and they absolutely love you for it. That's the reward. Tips on acting? When you're on that stage, whether it's television, film, or theatre, that becomes your home. When you're on that stage, that's all that matters. That's your home. The boundaries of that stage or studio, and you devote yourself to that space. and then you've trained as an actor, you have learned the lines, and you give it your best. And the result is people appreciate what you do. You're there to make them laugh or cry.
Excellent. Any tips for your job?
Production. Well, in casting, I think if you're going to think about becoming an actor, you have to have perseverance because you're going to get turned down a lot. But you have to keep, auditioning. You've got to keep training. You've got to do everything that might get you there, and be prepared to accept disappointment sometimes. And it's quite a hard profession to do. But here's the example of,
I wasn't
here he
trained.
is.
Really?
He wasn't
I was
trained.
a
No
copper.
formal training.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So did the copper situation help with
Do you know
with
something?
acting?
I've played so many police roles. The thing is, everyone knows that, but the police on television are not like the police on the street, dealing with the scum of the earth, or people in trouble. And people don't see that, but they do. When they're caught up in a 20-mile traffic jam on the motorway, for God's sake, I'm late. Why can't you just move the vehicle? Well, you can't just. If somebody's been killed, they've got to do photographs. They've got to do check for evidence and all that sort of stuff. And unfortunately, people become very impatient with it. But I do understand. But I'm just as impatient myself.
So, what would you prefer, policing or acting?
Oh, acting. Yeah.
Better paid?
I do not miss being punched in the face every Friday night.
And you're happy with your job? You don't rest.
Oh, I am. Actually, nowadays, of course, I'm retired.
Yeah.
But I make a lot of marmalade.
do
So
you?
I enter the world's original marmalade competition every year, and I've got 6 silver certificates. There you go.
You heard it first on here.
Yeah.
And I make papier-mâché animals.
Yeah.
When I was on the beat, this little Jewish shop, it was an antique shop, and there were 2 lovely porcelain figures in the window. I said to the chap who owned it, Henry Parry, I said, that's quite cheap for porcelain, £15. Oh, he said, they're not porcelain, they're papier-mâché. Now, that was 1969. And all these years I kept in my mind that statement, I said to Rosemary, I'll have a go at making some of these. Well, they're a success. People love them. Papier-mâché models, rhinoceroses, elephants, giraffes.
What a variety of skills you have.
But it's all art, isn't it? It really is.
It is. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's
Well,
such
thank you very
Very
much.
well.